Quick intro video for tract 9 at Elm Hollow on Bull Shoals Lake. We've got the property here toward the middle of the screen. It's outlined with the red and white kind of dashed line. We've got it shaded right now, and that was just we were playing around with the map just a minute ago, and we wanted to be able to zoom way out and still kind of see the property. So we'll leave it shaded for a second. We'll zoom out here, and we'll try to keep this as a short intro. Property's a little over 5 acres in size. It's got it's one of the few tracks you'll see that actually has direct frontage on what's called the take line at Bull Shoals Lake, which essentially gives you access to the waterfront. Bull Shoals is a Corp of Engineers Lake, so the actual shoreline is not owned by private parties like you and me. It's controlled and managed by the Army Corps of Engineers, who also take care of the dam and all that stuff for power generation, for flood control. And so when the lake was built, or when the dam was installed, which is what created the lake, the government kept back or took a buffer strip of land all around where the water line would be when the lake was full, essentially. And so that kind of colloquially, I can't pronounce that word. It's late in the evening here. Colloquially called the take line, because they took the land from the people, and I'm sure they paid them for it. And but I'm sure there were also people who weren't happy about it. But anyway, let's just say locally called the take line. So this has 180 feet of frontage on the take line on its whole east side, and since that Corps of Engineers land is public land, you can essentially use it very similar to national forest. So you can use it for recreation. You can actually hunt in the public land as well around the lake. So not only do you have additional access to the water and to the shoreline, but you've got literally access to thousands of acres of additional hunting land. So very tough to find anything with actual frontage on the take line. I mean, this has a lot going for it. Not only that, but it's got county road access, which is also extremely rare when you're talking about frontage on the take line. Often it can be easement road access or just some kind of trail. This has county road access to and through the property. It's got electric on site, which is an enormous bonus. And for instance, if we just zoom out a little bit, and you'll see the brown area on this map, very often if you happen to have frontage on the take line, you probably don't have amazing access to the water. I mean, you could be a quarter mile away. It could be a 50-foot bluff. We've looked at a lot of property on Bull Shoals Lake, and there's just very little in the first place that fronts the take line, and in second place that you can actually get to the shoreline. So this particular property, if we zoom in and look at this, I mean, the east side, what is that, a couple hundred feet from the water line there. Now they do control the water level at the dam, which is down in Arkansas, and so they'll raise it up, I believe, in the summertime when the lake is the most active with people. They'll lower it down often in the winter if they're doing some maintenance, or for flood control and power generation, they do raise and lower it. But this photo shows it at I guess essentially what would be called full pool, I believe. And I mean, it is just seconds from the east side of that property, which is awesome. Now, we really haven't explored this too much. When we look at this aerial, hard to see from the aerial, but it looks pretty darn level going from the property to the lake, and actually that's I forget the name of that creek that forms that little bay or whatnot there. But let's go to a topo map. And topo map shows that it does slope down. Hard to say without really being there, but we can look at the drone video. I really don't think we have a ground video showing that, but I think the drone video will show it fairly well. It clearly slopes down. It's not going to, I would highly doubt it's any kind of bluff. We just haven't seen that at Elm Hollow. There just hasn't been anything like that. So more likely that you would have some kind of lake view, and then sloping down toward the water and whatnot. This property, I know we're trying to keep this short, but it is awesome. Tract 9 is just one of the few that if we had the option of just holding back a couple just to have them, this would certainly be on the list. I mean, the way this lays, the frontage on the east side on that take line, the fact that as we look at this topo, so the gray line that you see is the county road, which goes on down and then dead ends about a half a mile after the property. This topo map kind of shows it continuing, and there is a trail that continues down past Elm Hollow, but it's not a county road. It's for a couple people that have lake homes down there. But the county road itself ends basically right here at the south end of Elm Hollow. What we discovered when we were out there was this little trail that goes southerly into the core land and all the way down to this peninsula. Beautiful little peninsula with a gorgeous kind of a beach area. You could pull right up to the water. We could have potentially used it as a primitive boat launch. If we would have had jet skis, we would have been comfortable backing them in the water there. We've done that at several different places at Bull Shoals Lake over the years, and it's worked out well for us and other folks as well. But going back to the property itself, if you look at the topo, so on the county road itself, as you come into Elm Hollow, about a half mile before you get to the property, you'll start going down a hill. Not steep, but kind of a long hill. Once you get to just about to the property, it's leveling out. And then on the east side of the county road, rises up gently, and then you have a large level area, which is essentially adjacent to the Corp of Engineers Land. If you go west from the county road, you'll cross over the creek bed, and from there it's level for a bit, and then it starts to gradually rise up. And then the west side of the property, looking at the topo map and the drone videos, is got pretty good amount of level area. So this actually has potentially two really nice building sites. Take your pick. One on the far east side, which puts you adjacent to the core land, very close to the power, obviously, and potentially would have a view, looking at how this core land likely slopes down. Or go back to the west side, cut yourself in a nice long driveway, and again, you've got a large, what appears to be level area. You're almost guaranteed to have a view just looking at the topography, and extremely private. So not a lot of tracks that really have the best of both worlds like this one does. It's pretty unusual to ever have a property where you could have a lake view and have good access to the lake as well. Usually, if you're lucky, you can get one of those two things, but almost never both in the same property. The creek bed we mentioned, you could see that. So that's a wet weather creek. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's got some really neat rock features, and you could potentially find some arrowheads if you hunt around in that creek bed. The old original kind of homestead for the area, so we're looking at tract 9, which you probably knew by now. The original homestead was up on tract 5, and we've kind of found what was left of the old log cabin and whatnot. And on multiple different tracks, we've been finding I guess artifacts, you'd say, from the original homestead. We've been finding metal tools, and part of a very old wood stove was right in the creek bed, like half buried in the creek bed. So that creek bed is pretty cool, and not only could you likely find some stuff from the homesteaders that were there 100, 200 years ago, but you also could find some actual arrowheads, which can be extremely old, and it's very, very cool to find an arrowhead, either in a creek bed or I mean, we've found arrowheads in yards in the Ozarks, a couple cabins close to rivers. I mean, it's just pretty spectacular. So we've looked a little bit for arrowheads out here. The guys, I think one of the guys found something that really looked a lot like an arrowhead, but not enough that we could say definitively like yes, and that's really what we're kind of looking for. I don't know why I got so sidetracked there. Track 9 again. Let's go back to the property. Heavily wooded. Why don't we take off that shaded area? Quickly do that, maybe. Let's try. And go to that. And that should be good. Okay, let's go to Google Map. It's usually the most clear. This MapRite or Land ID program is pretty handy. You'll find this a very similar interactive map on the listing page for the property. So zooming in, there's the county road. There's the power line. So convenient to have a residential power line on the property already. It's just fantastic. This particular tract also, we talked about what looked like the large level area to the east of the road. It almost looks like some type of natural clearing if you look at these spots. That's as far as Google will let us zoom in, so I can't really see, and we have not explored that on foot, but take a look when you see the drone video. I'm sure we fly over that. And then going westerly, we already mentioned it's going to slope down off the county road to the creek bed. The creek bed's going to be the lowest point, and from there it's going to start rising back up until it more or less levels off toward the west side over here, from what we can tell on the topo map anyway. So, I mean, heavily wooded property. On the tract to the north, even though it doesn't really look like it in this aerial, that's actually a pond there. And there may be just a tiny bit of that pond on this property on tract 9. Kind of cool. You're going to have all kinds of different species of trees out there, as far as, of course, red oak, white oak. You'll have hickory. We have seen a bunch of walnut trees out here, black walnut trees, which are beautiful. A few pine trees, definitely some cedar trees. Just a nice mixture of timber. Access with the county road is good all year, essentially, with the county maintained road. We would always recommend a four-wheel drive for anything on a gravel road. And this one, even though there's not a ton of gravel, if you wanted the option of going down and looking at the or going down onto the peninsula all the way down southerly past the county road, then you do want a four-wheel drive for that, because we drove it in a truck. We didn't need four-wheel drive the couple times we've been out there, but you could see where you definitely would at times of the year, or maybe if it had been raining or whatnot. Gorgeous property. We won't zoom out too much. We'll just really quickly here, because we do have the other videos where we kind of show where all this stuff is. I was hoping those labels would disappear. We can turn those off. Let's just go ahead and do that. There we go. Okay, so here's the town of Theodosia over here to the left. Obviously this is Bull Shoals Lake. This is just the northern part of it. It's an enormous lake. But to get to the property from Theodosia, you just go east on 160. You'll cross the lake, go a couple miles, then you'll be going right, or I guess southerly, on Highway HH. It says there's a little town called Isabella. I don't even think there's a gas station there. So just look for HH going south. You'll take that south for, I'm not sure, not even a mile, I don't believe. And then you go east on County Road 618. And that's going to very quickly turn into a gravel road, maybe immediately. And 618 is what you'll take directly to the tracts. And as you get there, you're likely to see the signs in the trees, tract 1, 2, 3, etc. And this is tract 9 that you'll be going to check out. Oops. Very, very cool. The lake is fantastic. Obviously, it's a great section of a great lake. The fishing, the swimming, the boating. Theodosia does have several RV parks. The marina and I think a couple other small resorts have places where you can rent a little cabin for a couple days or the weekend. The marina does rent boats and jet skis, we've been told. I mean, yeah, for recreation, for hunting, for camping, all that good stuff. Certainly you could build on the property subject to the very basic property covenants, which really seldom affect what anybody wants to do. This particular one of the financing covenants is you can certainly use the property while it's being financed with the owner financing. It can't be used as your residence or as a residence until the owner finance loan has been paid in full. So that could mean you go and get a bank loan, which would take care of the owner finance loan. A couple ways you could do that, but something to keep in mind. If you're looking for a place to build and live on immediately while still using the owner financing, certainly we can help with that. These tracts would not fall under that category, but get a hold of us if you have any questions about that. We better turn those labels back on before we forget. There we go. All right. Yeah, very cool. Check out the rest of the listing. Check out the drone video. I'm sure we have some different maps and photos and whatnot, but awesome tract. Only a total of 16 tracts out here. Not all of them have frontage on the core, on the take line at the Corp of Engineers Land, and I don't think any of them lay the way Tract 9 does with the level areas, enough area east of the road where you could be beyond the setback and still have room for a house and a parking area and all that good stuff. I mean, it just, to us, it's an ideal property, so you be the judge. But yeah, check it out. If you have any questions, just let us know.